Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Eskwilax Hour, episode 97. I'm your host, Efrain Martinez. The Eskwilax Hour, where we bring you art, live painting, and local issues. And today we have Mondo.
Mondo.
What up, man?
What up?
Thank you for coming through.
My pleasure, man.
And you said, well, how far did you drive from?
The eastern part of East Los, so borderline Montebello, not too far.
There you go, guys. He made it up today. I mean, we always have that issue where Boyle Heights gets packed at like around 3:30.
Yeah.
Boom. It just gets gridlocked and just Boyle Heights everywhere. But I'm glad you made it. And you want to tell us a little bit what's going on back here?
Well, I brought up some of my work that I'm midway through in work in progress. I also brought a blank canvas so I can, feel free to work on different stuff. I brought a lot of mediums, mostly acrylic markers, charcoal base. I like to work in charcoal and stuff like that.
I'll put a little bit, like a close-up right there of this is something you're still working on, right?
Yeah, these are my works in progress. These are a lot of my underpainting. I do a lot of layers, and that's why I work in acrylic. So it dries quick. I can layer and just I'm talking about hundreds of layers sometimes, working on it for months.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man, everybody, like you were mentioning that you use a lot of small brushes, right?
Oh, yeah. I have this is my go-to, and that's why it takes me forever. I actually have a set of super tiny brushes.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Let's see what he works with. And of course, he has all different types and sizes.
Yeah, filberts, flats, liners.
Yeah, let the audience know. Because a lot of audience also, they watch and they learn a little something.
Yeah, like me watching Bob Ross, right?
Yeah,
over and over.
Exactly, that's how you learn. I mean, there is like the theory and there's the practice. And
Exactly. And the theory and practice, making those stronger, just going to give you the ability to express yourself and what's in your mind. Because I find that's the hardest part. I can imagine it, and then to translate it onto a canvas or a visual, that's the tough part. That's the challenge,
Yeah, I like, especially like me, I only do like animation style or cartoon. And then when I try to do like a human like body and like a figure, it wear me out, but eventually it'll come out. But
yeah, it's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And what about like the ideas behind your art? Is there a specific theme or like
Definitely, mostly I'm fascinated with Dia de los Muertos. So if you see, I have some pieces here that are heavy playing into Dia de los Muertos.
The sugar skulls, right?
I have the sugar skulls, and what I like to do is inject them into what our normal life is, because Dia de los Muertos is the best way for me to deal with passing on, how we have a limited time. So this, I can imagine myself never having to pass on and being a part of where I come from. So I draw, people like
Is this like an actual market?
Well, not really. I know there's an East Side market in downtown that makes sandwiches, but I just kind of put it to represent the word East Side because it's about being on the east side of downtown, and then I have the downtown off to the right coming in. And it's kind of hard to see. I draw in a lot of. I don't use graphite because graphite sometimes metallic will come through the paint. Yeah. So I use colored pencils, charcoal pencils, things like that I can cover right up. So this one, I do a lot of themes where man and women are continuing to share their romance because my wife, she's my muse. She means everything to me. So I tend to say, whatever's the most powerful in me, use it to generate, motivation to paint. So I do that. I also do things that are kind of surreal, like this. I like to interject graffiti because as a youngster, graffiti is what got me into art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same here, man.
So I add little things like this is the top of a spray can, and then I just kind of do, different things that I think, cities would look like if capitalism and consumerism wasn't the main idea, where people made things that were a little bit more artistic. So decorating our space, even though I don't own the building, doesn't mean I can't appreciate the decorative and not let people choose what I have to see, like, half-naked models trying to sell me beer and shit like that, So I'd rather have things that are more decorative and appealing to the people of who we are.
Yeah, because you got like the what do you call them? Not pyramids, como. Are they considered?
Yeah, I would say they're pyramids to generalize them. Yeah, I use that in a theme. Even when I paint my cityscapes, I have here a cityscape that I'm doing in Conti and charcoal. And yeah, this one's really hard to see. Let's see. But yeah, that one's too hard to see. But what I do is I interject things into the sky. I think it's hard to see because I'm using Conti, and Conti's it absorbs the light like crazy.
There a little bit. The audience can see it a little bit.
Yeah, so I try to interject the top of these pyramids into my cityscapes. So if I do a modern cityscape, I'll still put that into it to show that, yeah, definitely. But I do that. I do a lot of skull work. I'm just fascinated with skulls because, tearing us down from the skin and all the makeup and all the stuff we do to our faces to make us that, we all look pretty similar as skulls. So this is a piece reference from the movie The Little Prince, originally a book.
Okay.
And it's a good fascination with just how someone's searching for, their whole reason for living. So I use the reference of a large object on what's supposed to be a planet. I injected a skull, and then I have strings hanging to make it look like it's almost like a mobile and a mobile. So I just kind of grab sources from everywhere. The world's an open book to teach me about art, whether it's art or not. Yeah, always looking for inspiration.
So you go through your days and then just kind of pick it up here and there, and then you're
everywhere.
Yeah, because especially right now, everybody's the whole political stuff. A lot of people are injecting that into their art.
Big time. Yeah.
So it's pretty similar. It's just that you're picking up what you see.
Right. Yeah, I've tried to stay away from political.
Of course.
It's really heavy, and I've always believed that presidents are there to do what they're going to do, whether they're like you consider a bad guy or a good guy. The greatest presidents have faults, major faults, of murder and blood and all that. So sometimes it's like, what, I'll just work in my community, volunteer, be a family man. That's what I have control over,
That's good, man. Keeping that positive vibes.
Yeah, that's the only way to survive. I do a lot of volunteering, like in El Sereno.
Oh, yeah?
I'm part of a community arts program called El Sereno Community Arts.
El Sereno Community Arts.
Yeah, and we do festivals. We did a big festival for Dia de los Muertos on Huntington Drive. And what I do is I do a mural project. I get 4-foot by 8-foot panels, and then I pick schools. Well, the schools are picked for me by the group, but I go and I meet with the kids twice, and then we get ideas to draw out an actual mural, and then they come on one day and paint them.
Between like everybody collaborating?
Yeah, so I get each class gets their own board and represents their school from high school all the way down to elementary, and they tell me what they like, and then I draw it out for them, and then it's like a giant coloring book.
And is that open to the public in, you said Sereno?
El Sereno. Yeah. So far, El Sereno, we're working with that. We're always expanding. We're trying to grow every year. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, there you go, guys. If you guys are in that area. Or
El Sereno Community Arts. Look it up online, Facebook.
What's the handle?
El Sereno Community Arts.
El Sereno.
Yeah, if you search it on Facebook, you'll find it. Yeah, so you can get involved. And, we work a lot with the children because art programs in schools are kind of, limited, very limited.
And they're even gonna get more funding cut now. But that's why we keep doing this, because one of the reasons is you never know who's watching. Could be, you can inspire. Because like 2-3 weeks ago, we had a show with Tomoaki. He just came in. The people are watching from Japan, so
nice. See? Exposure, and the beauty of the internet is global exposure. Yeah. Pre-internet, global exposure was near to impossible unless you had major funding. Yeah. Now you can do a grassroots type situation, and that's the beauty of sharing our ideas. And they don't have to be catering to anybody's budget, or funding. Yeah. Because that can happen, So.
Hey, they can go online, watch you. get inspired by these awesome art. And yeah, man, you wanna go ahead and just kind of start, and I'll just kind of chat away as you go.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And then we'll have some of your slides in the background. You can take a look at the monitor.
Oh, cool.
And then if you want to just kind of talk about what's on them as you paint.
Okay.
Step aside a little bit.
So my basic setup is pretty easy. With acrylic, you use a lot of water. You can add about 1/3 of water to make it thinner, more opaque, translucent, and that works for me because I do a lot of layers. So I like to build up my tones and light logic very subtly, you know.
Did you take any classes, or did you?
Yeah, I took I would say about 5 art classes at East LA College.
All right.
Yeah, for all the years I was always this graffiti artist. All I do is black books and then walls,
Yeah,
you know.
everybody.
No canvas, you know, because for a while in the beginning it was like graffiti was anti-canvas, you know, you had to be gritty. But after a while I just, you know, I'm gonna take an art class. So I took a drawing class, and you know, I had fun in it, and I just kept going, and I picked up a paintbrush for a serious time, maybe 4 years ago for the first time, you know.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I can't stop no matter what I'm doing with work. I have a studio set up in the living room. So even if I want 20 minutes of painting,
Yeah.
I have all this stuff set up already.
And then, yeah, it's also because, you know, you want to basically, as an artist, explore what else you're able to do. Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
learn that you can only go so far, and then you're like, what if I do experiment with this now?
Right, exactly. So hopefully I'll come up with something, because I'm definitely just freestyling. I have no idea what I'm gonna do, but stuff like that's pretty easy.
And when you used to write, you used to be on the more on this side. Have you always lived in like
No.
LA or Cali?
Yeah, well, most of the time I live like on the East LA,
Yeah.
all the way to, at least by Commerce, you know, by where Zodi's used to be and all that place.
Yeah.
But I also lived in Montebello a lot. So my areas were, like I stayed in that area. And then, you know, everybody comes to downtown to get certain things, you know, and certain spots back in the days.
Motor Yard.
Motor Yard, and
What's
then there's the
The
Levitts.
Motor Yard is all the way on the other side. It was Belmont Tunnel.
Yeah,
Right.
Belmont Tunnel. And then the, what was it, the Levitts building up by the 5 freeway.
Yeah.
That's where, I remember back in the days, Hex and Slick
Yeah.
had a big battle there.
Yeah?
That was cool, yeah, really good battle. And it was cool because Hex was like OG LA style, like
Yeah.
cutting edge LA style, and then Slick was kind of a mixture of all these different styles, you know. And I know that he was a lot of like Hawaii based and stuff like that, but he the battle was intense, you know.
Sick. So I'm guessing a lot of the photos you sent me, they're like miniatures, or
No, I would say there's a spray can in there that I've done. It's a miniature. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, maybe half of them are miniatures. One time I was just messing around. I got this free panel from Graphades in Culver City.
Yeah.
And I painted a Krylon can, real painterly style, you know, rough edges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I got invited to Avenue 50 to show Avenue 50.
Oh yeah.
So I put in a group show, and it sold on opening night, which was really cool because in places like that, I tend to overprice my work because I don't really care to sell it. I'd love to keep all my paintings, you know. So I overpriced it, and someone still bought it, and it was a 3-inch by 3-inch piece, you know. And
that's
and I was super stoked, so I kept going with a lot of little miniature pieces and stuff like that. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, if I do let's say a street fair or an art festival, then I don't mind letting my miniature pieces go for 10, 20, 30 bucks, you know, something affordable for everybody. So I do it so that I can make stuff, because when I do large pieces, it's really hard for me to let them go for, you know, under And I don't want to say it's because I want the money. It's because I just like those pieces so much. I just want to post them.
I think also bigger, just a graffiti thing. That's something that the bigger you go is like the more you're into it.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes me much more time with the miniature ones. I can usually pop them out in like one sitting, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing sometimes moves. It's kind of wobbly.
As long as it doesn't fall down. I remember one time I was working at my mom's house in the desert, and I had these pop-up easels, and I was painting 2 at a time, and the wind came and boom, knocked them both down. And it's like it gave my whole painting a new texture with all the dirt and rocks in it and stuff.
Some textured painting.
Right.
And you've always been an artist since young, like?
Yeah, I would say there was actually this guy. His name was Ronald. Yeah. Tall dude from New York, right? And he came to my school, I think in the 4th grade, and he showed me how to do the letters BOMB, B-O-M-B, and making the O one of those old school cannonballs. Yeah. And I loved it, and I was like, fuck it. So I kept drawing that in different colors and stuff. And he brought the graffiti that he was looking at from New York. And I think the next summer, the school actually let us do graffiti on the floor with chalk. So it was really neat to learn something that I've never seen before, and then to get supported to do it, at school was kind of fun. So ever since then, I always buy notebooks and stuff and just, write markers. When my brother wanted toys, G.I. Joes, I was like, hook me up with pencil set, hook me up with the marker set, And then of course, around my teenage years, most teenagers looking for rebellion, graffiti was right there, So I just went with it. I used to ride my bike up and down Whittier Boulevard. Yeah. I was like 15, just mobbing and I don't know why I didn't get caught. I was a sore thumb running around in a hoodie, but back in those days, they weren't looking for as many, so I would get away with it.
Yeah, it was more anonymous.
Yeah, definitely. Nowadays, you get stopped for everything. Right, everybody looks suspect to them.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then but as I'm getting older, I notice life has become where I have so much more stuff to lose, and the way they do graffiti prosecution now, they'll charge you for every little thing. So people get hundreds of thousands in fines just for doing art, and it's kind of disturbing. But what can you do? But for so many years, I never tried painting with brushes. It was always just black books. Black books and walls. And as I got older, I didn't want to get in trouble. I'd go to legal walls, things like Venice. When my family goes to the beach, we don't go to the water. We go to go paint, walls, and it's pretty cool.
How many times have you been to the walls? Like tons of times?
Probably like maybe 20 or 30 times.
Yeah. I remember I used to live in Mid-City, so...
Okay, so it was right there.
Close. Yeah, it was pretty close.
And it's a really chill spot. It's really cool because you get a lot of people that, like we were talking about earlier, global, like having people watching across the world. Right there in Venice, because it's a tourist spot. I've had people like from Germany and Spain, different parts of the world, come up and talk to me. And interrupt me to take a picture. And I've even have like little, like the piece I brought to you, little pieces like that with me, and I'll just sell it to them for $5. Go give me a pack of cigarettes or something, but. It's really cool because now I think, well, somebody has something of mine that lives across the ocean,
Put it out there, yeah.
And I always thought that was neat.
Yeah, because I've seen photos of the wall when it was like there was less sand.
Oh yeah, it was like a whole like a palladium basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an old movie, Thrashin', a skateboard movie, and they actually have where Red Hot Chili Peppers are performing at a party, and they're walking through that area.
You can see the old.
When I was a kid, my grandpa would take me there. I remember I was able to sit there in a Swatch Watch commercial. Because they did like a whole beach scene, and they were just letting all these kids and everything kind of get into that Palladium, and they would give you a free Swatch Watch. Nice. And it was cool because I couldn't afford that shit. So I got a free Swatch Watch, and they just basically did like this little party scene. You're just kind of hanging out, and it was pretty cool. I don't know if it ever came on the TV, but I know I got a free watch, so I was a happy guy.
One time I was there painting on the wall, and yeah, they were like, if you paint this bench, if you graph it up, we'll give you some credit.
Oh,
but I don't even know if they did. I was young. I'm just like, shit, I'll do it because, I want my name out there.
Right, or even just to get the attention of somebody asking, hey, will you do this? It was kind of cool, right? Yeah, but for so many years, I was like, I didn't do much with art. Through all my 20s, I kind of slowed down. And the best would be like, I'd be at work and I'd be, writing on a paper, and someone would say, oh, that's cool. Hey, do my name, and I'm like, And they always had to say that one thing about graffiti. I like graffiti art, but I don't like that tagging shit. And, and inside, I can't say what I think because I'm at work, I can't get this image of they're going to think I'm some kind of criminal. But in my head, I'm like, well, I like the tagging shit too, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because you've been around it. And you got to be around it to understand it. Like even me, I mean, there was a time where I used to tag, and like catching scribes and all that. There was just a feeling.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The fat markers and then.
Yeah, and now the graph supplies are out of control. I mean, back in the days, you didn't have much options for markers, for white tips, and then they weren't easy to get either. Now, you just get all kinds of big mobbing markers online.
I guess they figured out there was a market, and they're like, you know what? Let's just take over the market.
Right.
Cause yeah, when I was doing it, the closest thing we had was just like was it the uni?
The unis, right, or the
unis?
pilots.
Yeah, pilot. There you go. That was it.
Or also we'd get the shoe polish, refill it with ink.
Yeah, the shoe polish. What I used to do was buy house paint, go to a 99-cent store. And the glue sticks, dump out the glue.
Oh.
Pour the paint in there and put
That's like an OG grog, the drippers, right?
Yeah, and then fill them up and then just kind of, and then I started selling them.
Oh, that's cool, entrepreneur.
Yeah, I started selling them.
Hell yeah, because I would imagine if someone was selling those, hey, let me get one, Work's already done.
The only thing was I couldn't figure out how to not make the paint go hard.
Oh yeah, right.
And somebody was like, oh, put some paint thinner in it. So you had me playing around with paint thinner and stuff.
Oh shit, catching a buzz.
Yeah, that shit was strong.
Did it work when you put paint thinner in it?
Yeah, it thinned it and then it stayed liquid a little bit longer.
Yeah, funny thing, I'm cleaning out at work, I'm cleaning out this bar, and there's this paint cans that have been outside for probably 10 years, because the can, I opened it, all the paint inside is solid, like it's kind of cool because it's a big block of paint.
Yeah.
Just dried over, over decades and decades. And I'm like, maybe I should keep this. I can carve into it or something, Make a hand carve a spray can or a skull or something.
It would look sick.
Right. But yeah, even when I do a lot less like murals and graffiti work, I still always incorporate the spray can into my work, and most of the time it's always going back to the vintage spray cans, because even when I won't use Krylon anymore because their new stuff is really, it's junk, It's so somebody could paint their lawn chair, but I will always refer back to those because the OG cans were, all we had, and all you had was 20 colors, 18 colors, and nowadays what Montana has a palette of like, 80, 100, 200, soft pressure, high pressure. So I always, when I paint, I usually get that kind of can reference. But I always, when I walk around, you know, and I look at tags, I'm like, man, it'd be kind of fun to mob again. But
yeah,
with my slow ass, I'm gonna get caught.
You're like, I'm gonna rather pay my bills.
Right, exactly.
Get busted.
And not make more.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm fighting myself not to touch a small brush. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good right now.
Well, the first time I was doing the mural, you know, I just kind of went at it with some tiny brushes and never figured out that you got to use big brushes.
Right.
That stuff.
Yeah, it moves faster that way. Because sometimes I'll get stuck in a corner and then I'll pause and then the work won't look consistent, you know.
Is that the one you said? The one on the monitor? The Krylon?
Oh yeah, that's the mini painting, 3-inch by 3-inch painting.
It's dope.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually didn't want to sell it. When I put it in the show, it was for a show called Saints and Sinners. So, you know, I thought, okay, spray can, represents the graffiti lifestyle of LA. So, but I said, okay, I'm going to price it really high so that nobody will buy it. And then boom, that thing sold like in the first hour of the opening of that show. I mean, of course I was ecstatic, you know, especially at a gallery like that.
Yeah.
To sell. I mean, from that sale, Kathy, the director there, has invited me back for other shows.
Nice.
You know, so that's like perfect networking, you know. And it came when I could pay some bills, so I took the money, you know. But I've painted the same exact piece like that on a brick. I found old bricks in the backyard, so yeah. I cleaned them off and I painted it. And I sold that same type of piece, pretty identical, for $25 at a street fair. Wow. You know, because the person actually who came up actually had a can on their necklace. Uh-huh. Yeah, and it was cool. And she was about my age, so she was an older cat. So I was like, you know what, I don't care. You know, here's $25 is cool enough. You know,
I mean, because you know they're like they really want it.
Yeah, and they're gonna put it somewhere where they cherish it. And to me, I know because you know, seeing that I don't have a lot of money and I'm okay with that. I know that if I spent $25-$35 on something, I'm gonna take care of it. You know. So I'm sure they put it somewhere they could look at it. That's always nice to think about. Yeah,
like one of my best paintings, well, to me, I actually gave it to a good friend of mine just because I know it was going to go to a
good home.
Yeah, a good home. So, like, I
then you can still visit it.
Yeah, I haven't visited in a while, but I know that she's taking good care of it. But yeah, people were like, they wanted it. People wanted it I put in a couple of shows and I priced it high.
And they still wanted to buy it, huh?
Yeah, and they still wanted to buy it, but then I would price it higher and they were like,
nah. That's funny.
They were like, take it down a little bit. And I'd be like, well, you want it. But,
right.
But the whole purpose was just not to sell it.
Not to sell it, huh? Trying to sabotage it and then they still want it.
But then another friend told me, he's like, yeah, if you ever, one of those paintings, just decide where you want it. Like, it has to be with somebody that you know is going to take care of it.
Right.
Or at least know that it's not going to end up somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty picky when it comes to who. I mean, when I first started painting, I didn't want to sell my work to anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that it goes like if you have to get rid of a pet, you hope it goes to a good home, right?
True, too. It's a good way to see it. But you don't want to give it to a bad home.
Right? I don't want my painting to be in dog fights.
So was there a point where you used to watch a lot of Bob Ross?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That was some of my first exposure to art, you know, because growing up in East LA, I didn't have like a lot of people willing to take me to a museum and stuff, and I don't even know if I would have went to museums then for art.
Yeah, because it was a different times.
Yeah, and like I felt so disconnected from that type of art, but watching somebody paint, and you know, Bob Ross, half hour he paints the universe and it comes out perfect. And I used to be so intimidated, but I'd love to watch it, and I try to practice, you know, making a cloud or a tree. And then I realized that, you know, the beauty of his painting is that you can move fast and let things happen on their own, you know, and using your brushes as a technique as opposed to drawing out every line deliberately. Because normally I draw out every little detail. Like I've done, you know, pointillism, where I'm like really concentrated on every mark I made, you know, and it was pretty intense. I did one piece, it was 3 foot by 4 foot, Malcolm X. And it was all pointillism, and what I did is I took an eraser, cut out the Muslim sign of the moon and the star, and then I did this whole thing of the iconic picture where he's, you know, thinking or in thought, and I think it took me like 95 or almost 100 hours.
Wow. You
know, and that was over time, of course, months and months, but it was like I catered to every little position of those marks, and it was pointillism at its worst or best at the same time, because I mean there was just a lot of marks. I mean, tens of thousands of marks, but you know,
you gotta be really patient for those kind of.
Definitely, because if you try to rush it, you're not going to get the effect, and it's real like subtle and suggestive at the same time. So if you want the marks to come out nice, I noticed that if I rushed it, I'm not going to get the fine line, and if I, you know, overwork it, it's going to be apparent, and when someone looks at it, they're going to notice it's overworked. So I just took my time. I had it set up in a space in my dining room where I can walk away from it all the time, and come back to it when I felt like it. I noticed a lot of my good works, I have to do that. I don't try to just finish them all off at once. I'll actually work on, you know, giving them time to rest, giving me time to rest, you know. And that's why I actually, at home, I set up a lot of different pieces. Like these two are on my easel now, and I have maybe 2 other like charcoal pieces that I'm working on. And I have one easel that I can fit 2 or 3, and then I have a small like a desk like this with the tabletop easel that I can work on charcoal stuff. I like to work a lot in charcoal because it's just, it's really easy to make mistakes and cover it up, especially if I'm doing base, my under drawing for my paintings. Yeah. The acrylic or oil or anything covers it up beautifully. And it's easier to make light marks. With the graphite, I tend to be really heavy-handed. That's why I usually don't use graphite for anything.
But the spray can will always be king, or?
I think so. I don't know if I found a breakthrough on what my style is, and I don't know if I want to find a breakthrough of this is all I do. Yeah. But it tends to be spray can and spray can, skull, and scenery. Yeah. I do a lot of like really, I don't want to say boring, but just
man, it's just
basic scenery and stuff like that. Stuff that people that don't like graffiti art will say, oh, I like that. I'll buy it. I want that. You know. So, and I have a lot of fun making those sceneries. That's probably from watching Bob Ross all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because he did a lot of landscape.
Oh, tons of landscape. I don't even know if there's any paintings of him doing other than landscape. Like I try to do a research, but
seen a couple
of like still life or something.
No, yeah, it was like he painted a building in the landscape that he usually does.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't his regular like mountains and waterfalls.
Oh,
but those are still dope. Like,
right.
Even though, you know, there's a lot of it. Like every time he made it, it was just like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you work with other programs besides the one you?
Yeah, I also work with a nonprofit organization in La Puente called Archaeologists.
Archaeologists?
Like a geologist, but they put art in front of it. So it's Archaeologists. It's a small nonprofit organization that really helps kids get jump into the art world. So when they do their shows, they don't turn away anything. Like you can have beginners, total beginners, and they'll put it up on the wall for them, and they'll let them try to sell it and have art shows for them.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah, definitely encouraging, because it gives you a different spectrum. Because in an art class, you get a lesson, half the time you have to do what the teacher tells you.
Yeah.
You know, you're limited, very limited, and it's art. To be limited in art is kind of oxymoronic. So they give people the freedom to do whatever they want. Even if you're an adult and you're still a beginner, they don't care. They'll show it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. They're open that way.
Yeah, at that place, I show my work, and I support them a lot, because they've always given me access to their workspace. They always tell me if I ever want to, you know, do a show or do anything in their workspace, just let them know. You know, and there's a small part of La Puente, Old Town La Puente, where the Star Theater is. That's they're trying to revamp it.
Yeah.
More than 50% vacancy rate is there. You know, a lot of the shops. So they're open to like nonprofit organizations being able to use those buildings, you know, and pay very low rent and stuff like that. So they're trying to. It's a really nice area. It's really classic and vintage, and they're trying to keep that place alive, so that you know nowadays contractors love to come in and make new places. New shopping centers, put a Starbucks and a Wawa grill, you know, and they think everybody's going to be happy.
It's going to take more.
Yeah. Definitely.
It'll take years. I don't know if you can see the monitor. I don't know, was it a mural that you made in that one? Or?
Oh yeah, that one I actually did. Jim Ovalman, he's a professor at Cal State LA. He has a place called AWOL. It's on Alhambra Road by Eastern, where Eastern goes into El Sereno. And he has a gallery there, workspace I guess he calls it. And we did a show called Ernest Shackleton. And it's basically, we wanted to identify gentrification in a positive way. So Ernest Shackleton is like Christopher Columbus. He's just an explorer, but you say Christopher Columbus and everybody gets fired up. So
yeah.
He used Ernest Shackleton as his explorer, went to Antarctica just to try to explore a new area, and he made a rooftop ship. It's like 30 feet by 10 feet, 15 feet high, out of like wood and styrofoam. So he went up, made this ship that represented that ship that was the explorer. He also made a periscope from the bottom of the gallery.
Yeah.
So you're able to see the work on there. So what I did is, I was called Second Phase, and I came in and gentrified the whole area. So I said, well, this is El Sereno by the train tracks.
Yeah.
It's gotta be graffitied out. So I went in, I did that mural in the background, and then I took all his stuff and I just wrote all over it. I made it look like a yard. I paid homage to like old 90s crews and graffiti artists. I put just all kinds of random graffiti stuff on it, and the whole place just looked like this mob yard after I was done with it. And I also did a skeleton. I made a puppet. It was probably about 12 feet tall.
Dang.
And what we did is I did a mix on my computer of old school 90s hip hop and a little bit of nowadays, like KRS-One, EPMD, Dead Prez, people like that. Yeah. I made this small mix, and I had the puppet dancing to the music for like 4 or 5 minutes. And it was cool because I had my daughters. I have 2 daughters, Janae and Janelle. They both helped me, so they were each one arm, and I was holding up the torso.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, how did you get that work? Because it's 12 feet.
Yeah, it was big. So what I did is I carried the torso, and that was no joke. It was heavy after a while, but I carried the torso and moved it around back and forth, and then I connected bamboo sticks to the arms. So the arm span was probably 15 to 20 feet, and they just danced the arms around, made big, big hands and everything on them. So we just basically just moved around to the hip hop and stuff like that. So
Sick.
It was pretty fun. I try to broaden my horizons by not limiting. A little bit of performance art. Stuff like that. It helps keep me cutting edge, and it helps my inspiration, because I think if you look at inspiration in the very same place all the time, you're going to be missing out what could have been on such other random stuff. I mean, I'd even find inspiration from drunk people, because I used to work at a bar.
Yeah.
And they would come in, and sometimes, I don't want to be judgmental, but their lives were really tough. They made it tough on themselves. But I'd find ways to give them some type of, meaning in my life. You can never discount anybody, even homeless, drug addicts, anybody, even good people, you got to see there's going to give you some value, some lesson to learn, something to take away. So I really kept an open mind at working in that pool hall, and plus it kept me from getting frustrated with them, you know, and people that are they're over drunk and they're becoming kind of a pain, but you know, you don't want to be mean to them. And so I really just keep my eyes open for any type of inspiration.
Were there a lot of there were artists going to the bar also? Or
no.
Did you run into an artist?
No, mostly. Well, there was this one guy, his name was Mike Stilkey. He's an artist. He does this really cool thing with books. He gets a lot of old books that are going to be thrown away or burned. He stacks them, then he does pieces on the side of them.
Okay.
So they're movable. And he's actually a pretty big artist. That was the only one. Most of them are just people who want to drink on a Wednesday and, you know, party it up and stuff. And it was okay. The hours are tough. You have to stay out all night. You know. And especially if I'm not a drinker, I don't drink too much, so I'm there and everybody's having a good old time, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, here you go. You know, but people got to do their own thing, you know. I have no ability to judge anybody on anything.
Of course.
You know, I still dress like I'm 15 years old, but yeah, who cares, you know. As long as I don't ask anybody to pay my rent or bills, I guess I can wear what I want.
Yeah, you just basically make peace with what exactly your surrounding is. I mean, like myself, like you said, you know, like I was telling you, I'll wear clothes for like, you know, because I heard about the whole, you know, everybody consuming like so much clothing and just getting like, instead of like keeping it for a while, you're just like, I'm gonna buy a new one. It's only $3, it's only $4, and then like.
And they're doing it with expensive stuff. I mean, the other day I was looking at some shoes, Adidas shoes, $700 used.
Dang.
I'm like, who can afford that kind of shoe? I mean, I don't know even if I want to have the ability to buy those shoes. That just seems, even if I had that kind of money, it would feel like I'm being very excessive for a pair of shoes. You know, I mean, unless they're robot shoes, they can make me fly. That might be one thing, but
Yeah,
just
true.
a regular pair of shoes, I don't care who made them. They're not worth $700.
Run light speed.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, consumerism is tough because it gives people who are searching for something, it gives them instant gratification, something to do, look for, and then spend their time, because I'm sure it takes a lot of effort to earn that kind of money.
Yeah, true.
To support those lifestyles. I'd rather not spend all my time working for money.
Yeah, like it's like you mentioned, you know, I'd rather get like some art supplies to create something.
Always. You could ask my wife. That's always my option. She'll be like, here, go get this this or that. I'm like, well, I'd rather go buy some paint.
Buy some brushes.
Right. I'd go get some paint brushes. I could use about 12 more canvases. Yeah, it's funny. That's funny you say that.
Yeah, I was going on Facebook this week, and some guy in Vegas, he's selling like, I don't know, like 5 feet by 6 canvases.
Oh wow.
For like $15.
What? Wow.
Yeah, and he was just, and I was like, man.
In Vegas, though.
Yeah, I was like, man, if that was close, you know, I'd go and buy all of them. Because he was uploading photos, and he had like, you know, more than 100 of them. I don't know if that's what he did for a living.
Or something, or he just came up on it or something. That's intense, and that price, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I was like so close to just kind of go and just so I can buy some canvas.
Right, that would be worth it. You could even sell some of them for a darn good price and still make your money back.
Yeah, because that stuff goes over like $80, $90.
Easily, right? Yeah, easily. Okay, I get to use a little brush now. So traditionally I use charcoal. I use charcoal to sketch out my pieces. You could probably see in some of this, there's a lot of charcoal laid down. I think most of it I did in charcoal, and then I go over, I put a fixative on it so that I can keep the charcoal from blending where I don't want it to blend anymore.
Yeah. And
then I go over it with paint. And the one thing about acrylic, because even with good acrylics, the richness is not going to be equal to oil.
Yeah.
So, and especially the way I paint very opaque, and I build up my tones. it gives me this washed look that I usually love to go for. Like in this area, there's a flame, but the flames doesn't have deep color like fire traditionally does. But I like keeping those tones because the subtlety of the colors, I like to make them mix with heavy contrast of the actual composition. Like, traditionally people see skulls as something a little either aggressive or scary or something.
Yeah.
So when I use light colors, it's a subtle presentation, but then I want the message to be stronger. So, and to me, life is all about contrast.
True. People are watching on Facebook too.
Oh, Facebook Live, huh?
Yeah, they're like, because the phone, this little stand I have, it only turns a certain way.
Oh, okay.
They're like, turn it around.
All right.
I want to see.
Yeah, I've watched people live artists paint on that, and a lot of people say, hey, we can't see this, we can't, I want to see that.
And I believe you sent me this one, right?
Yeah, that's a friend of mine works as a manager at a barbershop, and he wants to expose people to art and give his, he has he knows a lot of people that are artists that are up and coming, so he gives us an area to just put our work out for 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it's at Downey Dave's.
11th, right?
Yeah, at Downey Dave's is the name of the barbershop. I think it's in Downey, from the name. And it's basically just a little setup. There's a lot of different crafts. There's handmade crafts, original art, stuff like that, at very affordable prices. Just a nice place to, if you want, we're going to have a lot of Valentine's, stuff and things like that. So.
Oh, yeah, that's where the heart comes in. I was like, why do they have that?
Right? 4 days before that.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants like original gifts or stuff like that, And it's a good place to chill. They'll have like food. Usually someone will set up a taco truck or a sandwich guy or something. And
it says Downey Days Barbershop, 8032 Stewart and Gray Road, Downey, California, 90241.
Yeah.
And is it, I guess 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So it's during the day.
Yeah. And you can get a haircut at the same time.
And you get a haircut. And I've seen you've been painting el nopal, no?
Oh yeah.
A couple of times, different.
I've been vibing on. I'm kind of trying to rev up to do the whole Loteria cards.
All of them.
My interpretation but I want to do it on 11 by 14 panels as one full art piece, so they'll all hang together.
Oh.
So that's why I'm working on the ones I like, just to get into the swing of it, and then I'll start doing the ones that I'm not familiar with or not as motivated. But the nopal is easy because as you can see, I can put it in the spray cans.
Yeah.
And I keep my my same theme going, and that one was a lot of fun. That one's actually in a show at Avenue 50, the 8x8 auction. It's a fundraiser to help them continue what they do as a gallery, and it was a pretty good show. It was over, I think, on the 21st.
This month?
Yeah, it was a silent auction, and I was lucky. I sold my piece. Like, oh, people like it. So yeah, at the end of the year, I always take the last 2 weeks off to do all just family stuff. Like I'll still sketch and I'll paint a little bit, but I won't do any shows. I won't get involved heavily into like big works, because at the end of the year I want to just concentrate on family. So in January it's a slow pickup again.
Yeah.
So I have to think, okay, where am I going to show? Where am I going to put this and that?
Let me know when you need like a little 2-3 minute break. So.
Okay.
Edwin Guevara is watching.
Cool.
Dude is Nigma, I think on Instagram. He does a lot of like the live painting. He
Oh,
goes
yeah?
live on, yeah. He was on here too, in like a couple of months back.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
Gerardo is watching. He was also one of the artists a few episodes back. Shout out to Edwin, Nigma, Gerardo, Chucky, and Israel. See who else is on. Victoria, Julian. He say hello.
What's up, y'all?
And also, we have Tomoaki watching live.
Double live.
Double.
One thing I always forget to do is stand back from my paintings. I guess because at home I'm like, it's kind of small, so I don't really stand back. But I notice like I'll stand back and I'm like, oh, that line's really crooked.
Gerardo Chucky says, are those acrylics?
Yeah, all acrylic.
All acrylic, Chucky.
Yeah, you want to take a quick break?
All right, 1 second. You wanna click your mic? Yeah. And I'm gonna do some, I'll mention some sponsors.
Well, hold on, 2 minutes?
Yeah, no. Yeah, like 3 minutes. So what you guys are seeing is the supporters and sponsors. That's MCAU Gallery. We're having a show this February. It's coming up. There's Ninoska Arte. They're coming back on, I think, March. There's the homie Chewy, Primera Taza. He always has that café de olla for y'all. And los lonches. We got Silverback Coffee of Rwanda. He's a friend of mine. We got Yayo, 10 years of Yayo. Mascota Jalisco, as always. And you guys know on the 25th of February, it's Life Without Barriers. I'll be painting there live at the City Hall. And then this is tonight from Mare on 7 to 11 Long Beach, not the Native Soul. And that's one of our newer sponsors. And of course, you guys know 323 Tees. We got this Boyle Heights shirt going on. You guys can find it on there. Look at that. Yeah. That's on February 24th, La Primera Taza. And then the embroidery, you guys know.